Big green button, and we're live.
All right.
It's alive. Oh, wrong holiday. So John slept in till 9 o'clock.
Yep.
Nice. I don't remember the last time I've been able to do that. I wake, even if I had the opportunity, I would wake up at 5 a.m. no matter what. I've actually been lately. I've been tracking my. I got into this slump where I was waking up every morning at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't go back to sleep. And this went on for like at least a month. It was like probably going on 2 months, and so I've been trying a bunch of different stuff. And one thing I've been playing with is this app on my phone that tracks your sleep. And
Okay.
it's pretty cool. It uses the microphone, so you turn it on, you plug it in. I have an iPhone, so you have to leave the stupid screen on. So you plug it in and start the app, and then it's supposed to track your sleep cycles and then wake you up when you're like less, not in a deep sleep.
Oh, I think I used that one.
Yeah. That part of it doesn't really seem to be working all that well. Because I'm pretty much awake by like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm basically awake, and I can't sleep past that anyway. But it is really interesting to look at. It kind of tracks your movement throughout the night, and you can see when you woke up. And last night I woke up like 4 different times. But that's normal. Like you're actually kind of you cycle through the deeper sleep cycles. So yeah,
Right.
It's actually pretty cool. I think what's been happening is I think my 8-month-old. He sleeps about as well as a newborn right now. This is how it's been with all of our kids. All of our kids were not good sleepers at all, and like didn't sleep through the night until they were almost a year old.
Yeah.
And so I think what's been happening is that he was waking up at a consistent time for a while, and he got me on that cycle. And now even when he doesn't wake up, I still tend to wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
And my hormones, my cortisol kicks in, and I'm like, mind racing, can't go back to sleep. So kind of sucks. But I've been taking a supplement that seems to be really helping with that. So
That's weird. Yeah, maybe you're like preconditioned to like that you expect to be woken up, so therefore
yeah,
like when
exactly.
you have to go on a trip like at 5 a.m. you got to get up to go to the airport or something, and then like you wake up at 3 a.m. or you don't even sleep at all because you're just like waking up every 10 minutes. Like, did I miss the alarm? Did I miss the alarm?
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that does that. Actually, it's rather unfortunate that everybody else does that too.
Yeah. It's the price of having a high-strung life. You got to be just, oh, screw it. If I miss the alarm, I don't care. The house is on fire. I don't care.
So John, you're in where are you in Northern California?
Vallejo. It's
okay.
You have family there?
Yeah, yep. I'm staying at my in-laws' house for a couple weeks. So.
Okay. Cool. And then down
Can you say out loud good thing, bad thing?
It's all right. Yeah.
Let's get John in trouble.
Nice. Anything fun planned? Any fun activities? What is there to do there? Pretty much just like wine country, or?
No, I mean you've got the whole San Francisco area, so
okay.
we're gonna go take a ferry over to San Francisco from here, and then go to Alcatraz. I haven't been there yet, so we got some tickets there. Yep.
Cool.
And then I'm not sure what else we're gonna do, but I'd like to possibly go to Six Flags over here. There's a Six Flags in Vallejo.
Well, don't tell us how warm it is because we just don't want to know.
Well, it is 60 degrees here today, so
okay,
I don't care. Go ahead, John.
It's 48 here.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, it gets fairly cold, like in the winter.
Nice. So it's actually warmer here.
Yeah, Southern California is warmer. Northern California is not. So.
Yeah, I would guess it's probably in the 40s here, low 40s. I had to walk over to the neighbor's house twice because I was playing plumber this morning. They just had a premature baby, and he was complaining about his faucet. I'm like, look, I'll just come fix it for you. Go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I did see a forecast, like a thing on my Facebook where someone from Tampa was like, high for July 25th, 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and then expected high for December 25th, 86 degrees. I was like, okay.
Nice. Yeah. I think there's some kind of El Nino effect.
That's what I keep hearing.
But yeah, I'll take it. We went and got our Christmas tree a couple weeks ago, and it was about like 55 degrees. It was wonderful.
Awesome. Yeah, out here they have snow targets because, we get all our water from the mountains. And,
oh.
Like the weather, like you can get the weather to behave, right?
Yeah.
Good job, weather.
Yeah.
Hitting your snow target. Good job.
But our first snowstorm of the year in November, at the end of November, it pushed us from like 40% of where we should be up to like 70%. So it was a pretty major thing, and it just keeps coming. It's supposed to snow today, though it's pretty nice out there right now. So it'll probably hit us tonight, which is great because then Christmas and white Christmas. So anyway. So enough talking about the weather. And since John has to duck out first, John, why don't you tell us what you got going on so we can tell you what you do, how we can help you.
Oh, I just turned off my screen. Hold on.
He's hiding from us. He just woke up. He hasn't had time to make himself beautiful yet.
Yeah, exactly.
He hasn't had time to curl his hair, put on his lipstick.
What was I going to say? Gosh, I don't know if there's much going on. Aside from really I think Josh and I finally got the paperwork finalized, which is awesome. So that was a big pain trying to, just a stressful thing trying to figure out what the heck is off with this camera. I don't know. Anyway, that's what it is. It's like, so that was a big deal. And then, I think what else really was going on.
That ended up being less complicated than I thought it was going to.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
yeah,
we pretty much, John and I pretty much were able to figure it out. The lawyer, pretty much we just paid the lawyer to bless it and write it up in really bad English.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but you want to make sure that you're both, you both understand the rules, I guess.
Yeah, I have
there aren't any loopholes or anything.
Yeah, I have really no complaints about hiring a lawyer. I think it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I think he did a good job, but it was just, it was like we had to figure most of it out on our own.
Yep.
Yeah, but it strikes me that it's as much for doing right by each other as it is for doing right by yourselves. So.
Yes.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much taken care of. So we're good to go on that. And yeah, I found out my book was translated into Russian and Korean. So
nice.
You're supposed to send me a Korean version of the book, and the Russian one's been selling pretty good. So that's pretty cool.
You gonna do the audiobook for that one?
That'd be pretty awesome.
I had to ask. I'm sorry.
Nice.
I'm on one today.
That's awesome.
I should ask them. That'd be funny. Read this in your best fake Russian accent.
Just brushed up on your James Bond.
There you go.
You'll be all set.
All the Russian I know I learned from Bond movies.
What else? I'm trying to think if there's... I've been getting YouTube videos. That process is finally really underway now, so I'm able to just basically drop videos and get them. My editor that guy's awesome. He's just I've got him working 10 hours a week max, and he's filling out his 10 hours a week, but he's at first I was just saying that as a max limit, and I was well, I expected him to do it in less than, but he's just getting so much stuff done and optimizing the channel that it's totally worth paying him to do it. So he's doing good. He's been, subscriber growth has been increasing by huge numbers. I think in 30 days the growth is 1,700 subscribers now. So it's tracking to. I think the goal will be to get that up to 3,000 to 4,000 per month eventually. But that's that's looking good now.
Is the growth accelerating like exponentially? Are you seeing a?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Cool.
So as more subscribers, then it grows more, and I'm also producing a lot of videos. So
Great.
So yeah. So that's pretty good, and yeah, I think I kind of finished up all the like major things I've got. The only thing I've got is to still figure out the bookkeeping a little bit. I had the most ridiculous conversation with QuickBooks Online.
Oh yeah.
I still just wanted to get rid of Intuit and not ever deal with them again, but I got declined for a merchant account essentially to accept payments through Simple Programmer, and then so I called them up and I was like, oh, okay, I figured out it should be pretty simple to resolve, right? Like, let's find out why they did it, and they said, oh, we're gonna have someone manually underwrite it, and so I was like, okay, so they're like, well, we'll do this right now on the phone for you, and so I'm on hold, and then they come back and like, yes, you're declined, and it's unresolvable. And I was like, what do you mean unresolvable? Like, yeah, it's a business decision to choose to not offer you a merchant account. And I was like,
are you doing this through Intuit?
Yeah. So, and I'm doing it through Intuit because I just wanted to have the pay now on the invoice, so you can invoice directly from QuickBooks, right? It's like a very simple thing. So you can do an ACH or a credit card payment. And so I was like, well, so I basically, they're like, oh, I was like, well, why? And they're like, well, we can't tell you because it's proprietary information. I was like, all right, fine, give me a ballpark of why. Like, what is it? Like, I was like, does it have something to do with my personal credit history, anything like that? And they were like, no, it's completely based on the business. And so, like, I was like, okay, what's the ballpark reason? We can't tell you that. I would suggest if you really want to know this information, you subpoena us. And even then, you probably won't get it. So I was like,
if they used your if they used your credit information to make that determination, then under the Fair Federal Credit Reporting Act, then they have to tell you who's in the credit report.
Right.
So I have heard similar stories before about merchant accounts, and I've heard of merchant accounts being denied to companies that they consider direct response. And I think that might be what's going on here. I think that they're looking at your site, and they're basically doing the same thing to you that Google did to me, which is like, we just don't like the business you're in. You're selling information products. We don't like that. We think that's a risk, and we're not gonna play ball.
Yeah, I guess that might be it. I mean, I spent like 3 hours on the phone because I was just like, I was determined to get some kind of a response or get some, and they just didn't even budge the smallest bit. I went up 3 levels to the thing.
I'll tell you that because I used QuickBooks Online for a while and I had it all hooked up through Authorize.net, and I got my merchant account through my bank, and they partnered with somebody else, so it wasn't directly through my bank, but they had some company that they worked through that they made it all happen with. So just because Intuit's being stupid and saying we're not going to give you a merchant account, that doesn't mean you can't get one. It just means that whoever they're partnering with, or if they're doing it themselves, they're just not on board with whatever else. So,
well, I've got merchant account, right? Like, I've got Stripe and I've got Wave, so like I have, the ability
but those
to
aren't
process
traditional merchant accounts.
Well, Wave is.
Oh, it is?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, either way, it doesn't really matter because the point is to be able to accept credit card payments, right? Or I guess ACH as well, but
but traditional merchant accounts are a different animal, and they deal with your bank in a different way.
Yeah, my impression of Stripe is that Stripe has a merchant account.
Yes, and they share it with you.
They're a front end. Yeah, they're like a front end over the merchant account.
Yeah. Well, I mean, regardless, like, you can't really hook up invoices to Quicken unless you use Quickens, right? Like, you won't be able to. So it's fine. I'm just going to send invoices with Wave, I think, for Simple Programmer, and then get the payment and then just log it in QuickBooks, right? So.
Well, that's effectively what I do.
Or double invoice, I guess you'd you'd send an invoice in QuickBooks, and then, or I don't know. I mean, send it in Wave.
Yeah.
And,
I send my invoices through Harvest. You could probably also use like FreshBooks or something with Stripe or something else. And then, I just import all of my bank transactions over, and that includes all of the deposits that come through when people pay me. So.
Yeah, it would just be nice to be able to track the invoices better and quicken, or not have to double.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially you have to create 2 invoices. But anyway, it was ridiculous. Just like, yeah. So, because I was trying to figure out, I was like, what the heck could it be? I think you're right, Josh. It must have something to do with direct response, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a drag. It sucks that some of these big companies just have so much control like that.
Yeah.
Google and Facebook are the same way. It's like they don't care. They just, if you even look anything like something that they don't like, then they just ban you.
Yeah.
So like my website, they basically, joshuaearl.com, my copywriting website, they basically put me in the same class as like gambling and porn.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That's how they view my site. So
well, knowing what I know about you, I don't blame them.
What do you know about me, Chuck?
I was gonna say something about addictive. Are we still friends?
No. I've just muted Chuck on this call, so.
Yeah. But I think that's it. So I ended up getting all this stuff, like the little loose end pieces that I need to get done. So we'll be ready for next year to grow Simple Programmer and do more stuff. So
yeah.
Nice.
But if you really, really want it, I'm betting you can go to your bank. Or there are other professionals that set it up for traditional businesses.
Yeah.
You actually have a card reader in your office, but you need a merchant account for those too, and they can help you with that.
Mm-hmm.
They may just try and sell you equipment that you're never going to use.
Yeah, it would be nice for the ACH thing is the main reason that I like it, because when somebody's sending you like $6,000, that's a lot of money to lose to the credit card fee.
Right.
Like
yeah.
2.5%. The ACH is like 50 cents.
Really?
Yeah, it's like free basically, compared to credit card where you're paying 2.5%.
Yeah. There's some other options you'll have to look at too. I mean, PayPal business to business is basically free, and then there's like there's a couple other ways to send like e-check type of thing. So
I mean, I can just send a check through my bank. I might do that, John. I owe John money for the lawyer fees, so I might just send you a check if that's cool.
Yeah, I mean it's fine either way. I don't mind paying the transaction fee on the.
Wait. Hold on. What's a check?
It's a piece of paper with numbers on it, and.
Oh, I get those in the mail sometimes. I take a picture with my phone.
Yeah. There you go. So you remember it.
That's right.
All right. Well, I better jump off of here. And,
Alrighty.
Sorry,
right.
I forgot about the time zone shift. Otherwise, I would have been ready.
It's all good. Have a happy holiday, and we'll talk to you next week. One thing before you jump off, though, I did want to ask is, next week, are we just going to do this on New Year's Day, or did you want to move it to a different day?
I was thinking we should move it. Same thing.
Move it to the day after or the day before?
Day before. Yeah,
okay.
Thursday.
Okay.
Same deal.
All right, let's do it the day before then.
I can deal. That sounds good.
All right. Talk to you guys later.
All right.
Enjoy your time with your family.
All right.
Well, now you're muted, so this is gonna be awkward.
Yeah, right.
Gosh. Right.
Gosh.
I've hellbanned Chuck. Nice.
So what do you have going on, Josh?
Oh man, so I have a couple things. I've got this big sales page that I'm working on that has been just dragging on and on and on. It's for the mortgage. It's like my last. I think I'm kind of like in a little bit of senioritis with it, because it's like my last client project before I jump over onto the Simple Programmer stuff permanently, or at least for the next year or so. So I've got this big sales page, and it's a pretty cool product. I mean, it's for a guy who does lead generation in the mortgage industry. He's got this software product that works really well. He's worked with like Zillow, and so he actually taught Zillow how to do mortgage lead generation, and now they have like a $28 million. Now they have like a $28 million business or revenue stream from that.
He didn't bill him enough, did he?
No, he didn't. They actually took his concept and like built their own in-house. I'm not sure if he knew about that or if I think he probably saw it coming. But yeah, he pretty much trained them on the whole, and it's a pretty cool. The psychology of it's pretty cool. It's like most lead generation companies or most lead generation forms, you go to the mortgage website and you see this big, huge form, and it's like, what's your blood type? What's your income? What's your social security number? And nobody wants to fill that in. So the forms with this guy's software just start off asking you for your zip code and the type of mortgage you want. And then it like kind of sucks you in, gets you committed to the process. Right. And then by the time you get to the end, you're, punching in your name and email and not even thinking about it.
You're cashing in on that sunk cost fallacy.
Exactly. Yep. So he's got, so it works really, really well. He like with Zillow, they were converting like 5% was their average conversion rate. So he like beat down their door and convinced them to try his stuff in an A/B test, and his form converted at like 22% or something.
Oh wow!
So he just destroyed it, and then Zillow was like, oh okay, well there's something here, and so they started working with him, and he did a bunch of work for them, and then they like basically replicated his software and kicked him out. So but yeah, so anyway, I'm writing this. This sales page is it's been just dragging on too long. So I gave him, so what I realized that part of the problem was that I hadn't committed to a specific deadline. So I gave him a deadline of today, basically, and said, I have to get this done. And so I've been working on that all week. And it's amazing. Like I realize like one of the problems I'm dealing with right now is that I feel like a fraud all the time. Like I have made so much progress over the last year. Like I've so overshot my confidence level, like my confidence is like, I look back and my confidence level is like back there, half a mile behind me. And so I'm just so far, and like everything, basically every day, I still wake up with the same sort of like knot, the same sort of stress knot in my stomach that I had when I was like working 80 hours a week at all my different jobs trying to get this whole thing off the ground. And it's not like so much, I used to be like, gosh, I just don't feel like doing this again today. Like that used to be the feeling. And it's the same basic feeling, but it's more like every day I'm doing something that makes me really uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really good for growth, but it's also just really tiring and it kind of wears on you. And so, like lately now the thing is the coaching, I've been starting that. So now I've got, 4 different coaching students looking to me for wisdom.
Right.
And, jumping on doing those calls is really uncomfortable. And, people emailing me for advice, and it's just like, I don't know. It's exciting, but it's also been like really kind of wearing on me lately.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be like, I'd like to be, I want to always be uncomfortable, but I'd like to be uncomfortable 20% of the time instead of 100% of the time. It's literally almost every single day I wake up and there's like something gnawing at me that I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get that. I don't know how I'm going to pull this off today.
Right.
So yeah, so I just kind of feel like a fraud a lot lately. And
I get that when I'm really new at something.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But at the same time, I'm also I've also like the other thing where you're getting kind of senioritis on the project. That's how I was with the last 2 or 3 contracts I took this year. And eventually I actually handed them off to other people or just went back and said, I haven't done anything with this yet, so here's your deposit back. I feel really bad, and I'll help you find somebody to replace me.
Yeah. Well, I kind of did that. I did that with one of the clients I had landed had committed to like a small like demo project. And that guy, I ended up just giving him his money back because it wasn't worth me doing the demo project for him if I wasn't going to be able to do more. Right. This project is pretty big. Like it was a 5-figure contract that I landed. So I did not want to bail on that.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's getting there. With this particular sales letter, there've been like 2 or 3 different ways that I have tried to start the sales page, like 2 or 3 different paths into the pitch that I wanted to take, and I've been like waffling back and forth between them. But now the nice thing is I'm basically out of time, so what I have is what I have, and I'm gonna hand it in today.
Well, it should be good.
Yeah, deadlines are a good thing.
Yeah, they are.
So that's been kind of just weighing on me this week. But I did my first coaching call with this is my second coaching call, but my first coaching call with my second student. Her name's Kathy, and she is a couples therapist. And this is going to be a really interesting one because she and her husband are actually Dan Kennedy people. So I've been really surprised with all the stuff that they had. I didn't realize that going in. I thought that they were kind of new to marketing, and then like they've got all this really good stuff that they've already done, and I'm like, oh, well, now I understand why, because her husband actually built like a $1.2 million business with Dan Kennedy's stuff back before the internet came around.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so this is not their first rodeo.
Yeah, I'd have a little bit of imposter syndrome there too.
Yeah. Yeah, but she's I don't remember, did I tell the Ken McCarthy? I told the Ken McCarthy story last week. She's the one that so she's more impressed with me than I am with me. So she's a good listener, and she is an implementer. So she took everything that I said. She took lots of notes while we were talking, and I think she's going to get it all done. So, but yeah, so that's been fun. I've got 2 more coaching students now. So I've got looks like I have a total of 4. I haven't gotten payment on the last one yet. But that is, I'm pretty much booked for now. I'll probably try to add like 1 or 2 again next month, because the people will drop off.
Right.
And it seems like there's a lot of work to get people on board. Probably like 3-4 hours easily of time that I have to spend going through all the stuff that I have them prepare. And then after that, I think it's going to be mainly like an hour, like maybe an hour or 2 every 2 weeks. So that's pretty maintainable. And I think I get that. I think I could probably handle 5 to 10 coaching students. I don't want to overcommit yet.
I'm wondering a little bit, because you have this stuff going on with Simple Programmer, and then you've got the coaching, and then you've got, it sounds like, a couple of other projects going on. How are you balancing out your time? How do you make sure that you're not letting something drop?
I'm going to be, so the other Simple Programmer stuff, I'm going to be starting. I haven't started that yet. Okay. So that's going to be starting. Really, John and I have been getting started on we got the paperwork lined up. We've done a few little things here and there, but I'm really going to be starting that in the new year.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's why I got to get this. So I had to get this big sales page done, and then I have a lot of other stuff to do for them, but it's smaller, and I can kind of work on it in little bits. It's not the big sale, like the sales page that I'm writing is like 6,000 words. So it's, it's a pretty decent. It takes me at least a full solid week just to write one of those. But yeah, so once I switch over to the simple programmer stuff, I'll probably just do maybe an hour or two of work on this other contract until I get that finished up. And pretty much every day I'll work on it a little bit, and then my first big project with John is going to be redoing the how to market yourself sales page. So that'll take me. That's going to be at least a month, I think, of work.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, hopefully that'll be a big, if we can nail that to where, because he's getting a lot of traffic on that. We're getting I think 2,500 page views on the sales page, every month.
Oh, wow.
And it's not converting at all right now. So if we can convert that, if we can get that converting better, it converts the email sequence that he's got, the blogging course converts. But if we can get the cold traffic, just people wandering onto the site to convert, then that's going to be probably several $1,000s a month in extra income.
How much is the course? I don't remember.
It is just like $297 or $299.
Okay.
And then he pretty much only sells it right now with a discount code, like $100. I think it's $100 off. So it ends up being $199. So with the 10 steps course, that's been selling at $97. That's been selling to cold traffic. People just wandering in off of John's site, finding that page and buying. We've been selling an average of one a day. So the goal is to do that with the how to market yourself course.
Right, and that's a significant uptick in income.
That'll be huge, yeah. So the way that John and I have this set up is, we have it. I'm technically a partner already, but I have all of my shares or whatever are unvested, and we have to hit income milestones for me to be vested. So we have an end point. Basically, it's 100% or nothing. So I have to hit a certain income target within 2 years. And at that point, I'll become a 50%, a 49% partner.
Right.
And we'll split the revenue. And then, but I also have an intermediate goal where I'll get a raise. I'll get a raise basically on my monthly retainer.
Right.
So that I'm getting some benefit out of all the extra income that we're going to be generating.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Man, we went through so many versions. We went through so many iterations of how to split it up because, and the other thing we ended up doing is we've got we decided to average the income out over 6 months. So I can't, if we have a one-time spike, up over I'm not instantly vested. It has to be an average over 6 months.
That makes sense too.
Above that amount. Yeah. So, but yeah, we probably spent I would say at least 4 to 6 hours hashing the details of this out over Skype. And I'm pretty happy with how we figured it out.
Yeah, my experience though with a lot of the stuff that I do, not necessarily income per se, but some of the other things, is that when I hit a spike, say in traffic or whatever, it never settles back to where it was before. It's always slightly higher. So that it does make sense, and you'll still make headway on the spike. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna do so we got a huge spike from the 10 steps launch. But when the dust cleared, now it looks like we're about $3,000 ahead every month because we've got that new product that seems to be selling pretty well. So yeah, I need basically, if I can get from where we are now, if I can get the how to market yourself course selling reasonably well, we'll be within spitting distance of my first milestone already. So that's going to be my first focus, is to get that bad boy selling.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And so, I got to wrap up my other client first though. But yeah, pretty much for me, what works is to do split my day up. So maybe I'll do the mornings on one and the afternoons on the other. I find that for me, like, I find that doing stuff every day is better than trying to batch it. Even though there's the context switching. For me, the consistency of doing it every day usually helps keep me in the right mindset. Mm-hmm. Like if I walk away from a client project for a week, then I still have a context switch where I have to spin up and get into that mode and, you know, be thinking about their world again.
Right.
So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, lately I've been writing my daily emails. I've been writing all of them on Monday. So I spend Monday morning and I write like 5 emails. And I actually think I'm going to go back to, it's really nice to not have to think about it all week. But what I'm finding is that I get out of email writing mode. Mm-hmm. And I'm not thinking of new ideas, and I'm like not kind of my radar's not up. Like when I do them every day, a lot of times I'll get an email from a subscriber or something, and I'll be like, oh, I can just make this my email for tomorrow, and I'll just write a slightly longer answer to them, and then I'll just copy and paste it, and I'll be done. And that doesn't really happen when I'm batching them as much. So
that's interesting. I wonder if that would work for me for videos, but it does make sense. I mean, when I haven't done videos for a while, then I'm kind of out of practice, and I'm like, all right, so what's the process on this again, instead of having it be really automatic.
Yeah, just for me, I find that daily habits just work better than you know, quote unquote, being more efficient about it. Yeah. So yeah, I guess it's kind of like keeping the engine warm. Like you don't ever you don't ever really slip out of that mode completely. And so yeah, so the other thing was this week I think I finally figured out. I've been doing a lot of experiments with my joshuaearl.com email list and just sending out different affiliate offers and seeing what people respond to. So that's actually been kind of fun. I've been able to test the waters a little bit, and actually so far the thing I've gotten the most response to has been my coaching. My vague offers of doing coaching.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean that's
actually you.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of that's probably just like people want to know more about it. It's because I haven't shared, the cost and everything yet publicly. So part of that's just kind of curiosity, but also like this week I did my emails were all about SumoMe. Mm-hmm. And the response to that was pretty mediocre. I was actually expecting to get a decent number of clicks and stuff. And I didn't really get much response. I didn't get many clicks. I didn't get many people emailing me back. So I think I'm not real. So that's that one I'm probably not going to promote. Thrive didn't do very well either. So I was thinking that the list building stuff would really resonate with people, but it hasn't so far. But what has worked is I've been sending out some stuff for lower priced email marketing. Mm-hmm. Perry has a couple of products that are like seminars that he did that he sells for like $29. Mm-hmm. And I've actually gotten some purchases from that. And gotten a lot of clicks and a lot of interest. So I think for I decided that my product, I'm going to do an email marketing product sometime in the next 6 months. And it's going to be basically the same idea as this copy hour program. So that's the other thing that I've been promoting that's done really, really well, which is copy hour is this course that you sign up for. And it's like a 90-day course. And you're basically just handwriting out sales letters. So you take all the classic ads from all the best copywriters, and you sit down for an hour a day and you just handwrite the things. Mm-hmm. And it really, it's one of the first things I did. And basically every really good copywriter has done this. So that format, I love the format of that course. You get an email every night. You get an email, so it prompts you. And it's like, he teaches you along the way. So you get a sales letter, but then he teaches you a lesson about it. so you have something to think about while you're copying the thing out. So I think what I'm going to do is take that format and do like a 30-day email challenge boot camp kind of thing. Because the number one pain point I hear from my audience is I don't know what to say in my emails. So I'm basically going to just for 30 days spoon feed people, here's what to say today, and you maybe give them like formulas or templates that they can use to write their emails, and ideas for topics and that sort of thing. And then also teach them along the way some of the storytelling stuff and how to make your emails interesting. But the main kind of the main goal will be to get over that procrastination hump and just start doing it.
Right.
And then along the way, I'll teach you some stuff. And so yeah, I think I could sell that for probably like $97 or maybe $197 because it's spread out over time. I really like that format, and I think my list will go for it. So that is what I'm going to do at some point. Once I have that, the cool thing is once I have a product like that, my email list growth and traffic problems go away because I can just do joint ventures with people.
Right.
I could go to Brian Harris and say, hey, I'll do a webinar. He's got 15,000 people on his email list. I could do a webinar with him about email copy and storytelling. And everybody on his list is into list building.
Right.
So they've got these big lists and they're like, well, okay, now what? My copywriting mentor, Lori, she said, yeah, if you have a product, I'll do a webinar with you. She's got 5,000 or 10,000 people on her list. So, I could pick up hundreds of subscribers just by doing a webinar and make money at the same time.
Yep.
But I need a product first.
Yeah, you could also make the rounds on the podcasts and other places.
Exactly.
And just really get people to kind of feel who you are and what you're about, and then just make it happen.
It'll be a type of thing that I could put together like a 3-day version of it too, as a lead magnet. Or 7-day version of it. That would just basically, it would be perfect. I could use the lead magnet could actually be, let's get everything set up so that you're ready to go on day one kind of thing. Like, get your email software set up, get your template set up, because templates are a huge thing that everybody's like freaks out about. So kind of get the fundamentals in place, and then boom, day one, you're ready to go.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was like, it's funny because that's not like a huge revelation to me, because I've been wanting to do something very similar to that with Sublime, because I just like that format. And I don't know why it never really occurred to me to do it for email copywriting, but it hit me this week and I'm like, yeah, that's it.
Yep.
That's what I'm going to do. So yeah, I think that's pretty much been my week.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, well, my week has been less crazy than last week.
That's good.
It wasn't hard.
That was going to say the bar was low on that.
Yeah, but I did get my goals pulled together. I'm
nice.
still working through some of this, but anyway, I'm just going to hit them hard in January. And basically this week and next week have been set up for success for the rest of that. And what I did is I actually started out with like just, where do I want to wind up at? And so I looked out as far, so I mean, some of the stuff, I'm Christian, I'm Mormon. And so, some of the stuff was stuff like go to heaven.
Yeah.
So, so it's pretty, I mean, it's a specific goal, but I don't exactly have a timeline target for that.
Yeah, I would hope not.
When I'm done here, I want to be there is kind of the deal. But then some of the other ones were things like eventually I'd like to go serve a mission for the church with my wife. Or, I want my kids to learn to be entrepreneurs.
Yes.
So stuff like that. It was funny because there weren't really any major business goals. The closest I got were some financial goals. Like, for example, I don't exactly intend to retire, but I would like to have enough in retirement so that if something happened, I could.
Yeah.
It would also make, because in the Mormon church, when you go on a mission, you pay your own way. I think that's pretty common with most Christian churches.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
So if I had a retirement account, I could effectively retire and go on that mission.
Right.
And live on the retirement.
Yep.
And then when I'm done, I can come back and do whatever. Because I'm not going to quit and go be bored and watch daytime TV all day.
Yeah.
I just don't see that in me. The other thing is my grandparents did that, and their health declined rapidly after that.
Yep.
So I'm just not there. So anyway, it's those kinds of things. And then I broke that down into, okay, so in 5 years, kind of where do I want to be? And I was like, okay, well, in the business, it would be nice if, let's say I could net, or I could have the business make $1 million, like net $1 million.
Right.
I was like, that would be, that's just a target out there that I can kind of aim at. It's not necessarily like I'm a failure if I don't hit it, but I'm going to do what I can to get there. And the other thing is like the 5-year target can definitely move because things are going to change. And I just, but for right now, all things being equal over the next 5 years, yeah, I'd like to have the business making $1 million. So that means this year I want it to make basically net $200,000. It grossed over $200,000 this year, but I didn't net that. So effectively, that that changes my income targets a little bit this year. And so then what I did is I broke things down to 1 year goals. Like I said, so I have that. I'd like to grow my mailing list to 40,000 people.
Where'd you get that number from?
From the air.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because you're right now you're at like 5, right?
I'm about 4,200. So it's basically 10x my list.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'd be happy with 30,000, but I wanted to push it a little bit.
Right.
And so that's kind of where I came from there. But here, let me open up my yearly goals. I'm still working on these a little bit. I feel like I'm missing something and I don't know quite what that is.
Well, you want to go to heaven, right? You should probably.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Yeah, so I have a section for spirituality.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I kind of broke down where I wanted the income to come from. I figure my expenses for the year usually come out to somewhere around $160,000 to $180,000 when I'm paying everybody and things like that. And so that means that the income has got to come in, above and beyond that for me to net what I want to net. So I looked at it and I said, okay, so a conservative estimate on the conferences is about $155,000. If I make what I think I'm going to make on each one. And I was a little bit conservative with those numbers. I could make more. I doubt I'll make less. The sponsorships, I expect to bring in about 150,000, give or take, next year in sponsorships. So like I said, expenses 160,000. That means that in order for me to hit this target, I need to come up with another $55,000. And so I'm going to launch some products next year to make up the difference.
Nice.
So that's the plan. Launch 3 products. It could be ebooks. It could be a course. I don't know. I haven't decided what they are yet. But I want to grow the email list to 40,000. I would like to have 3 months worth of expenses in the bank, including my salary. This is in the business. So this is retained earnings in the business, not personally. And then I would like to add 2 shows to devchat.tv that I'm not hosting.
Okay.
Because again, that affects that sponsorship number. Yep. It'll probably really start paying off next year or 2017. But so the other ones are things like I want to take my wife out twice a month. I want to spend 30 minutes of one-on-one time with each of my kids every week. I'm looking at starting a podcast with my son that I've talked about, and I want to take a big trip with my wife sometime during the year. Finances are pay off all the debt except the house. If I hit my income goals for the business, then I can definitely do that. And so a lot of this kind of hinges on that income.
Yeah. Yep.
Have 3 months of expenses in the bank. That's personal finance. And then my wife and her best friend have decided that we're going to go on a Disney cruise with our families next year, or 2017. So I'd like to have that all paid for. by the end of the year.
Nice.
And then the health goals are, I want to run a 10K and a half marathon this year. I need to lose about 30 pounds for my health. And I talked about the panic that I got to with my health last time, I think.
Yeah.
With my dad's situation. So I need to get all that under control and get life insurance. And then, the spiritual stuff is, going to the temple, Mormon temple. It's kind of a higher level of worship for us. At least once a month, pray every day, read scriptures every day. And a lot of this is stuff that I do anyway. But, by putting it down and saying I'm going to do it and committing to it, I feel like it helps. So, and then I want to watch some sort of video training at least every weekday and read one business or nonfiction book each month, which I tend to do anyway. But those are kind of the year goals. And then I broke that down for the next 90 days and said, okay, here's what I've got to hit then. So we talked about the top 10 episodes for each show, making those into campaigns in Drip. So I'm going to get that done within the next 90 days. I am basically there already. But set up the intro email that tells them what they're getting when they join the list. Allow them to pick the other top 10 sequences. Encourage them to join the forum or Facebook group at the end of the campaign, which is another income source for me. Put SumoMe on devchat.tv so that it has the little pop-up thing. And then write an email each week about some coding or career topic, and then get the text to join stuff together. So that kind of gets people into the email list, because I feel like that, again, is going to lead a lot of people into buying the products, buying this conference tickets and things like that.
Yep.
So it all kind of feeds up to that.
Yep.
And then the rest of these really just broke down into what do I have to do to get my yearly goals. So like I have a Run 10K app that gives you 3 workouts a week. So if I'm going to run a 10K, I'm going to do that. And then I need to actually pick a 10K to run. I'm going to track my calories to lose weight. I'm going to quit drinking this stuff, soda. I've given myself the grace period all the way up to the 1st. And then on the 1st, I'm done. Weigh in once a week and work out every day for at least 30 minutes. So on the days that I don't do run 10K, I'm going to go to the gym and do weights or something. I just have to get out. I can just walk for 30 minutes. That's fine. I have an exercise bike behind me. I don't know if you can see it in the video.
I cannot. I can see the closet. Oh yeah, no, there it is. Okay, I was actually was wondering what that was, because the handle of it projects out of your microphone and looks like part of your mic stand sometimes. So
woohoo! Yeah. So I can work out on that, whatever. But I have to get that 30 minutes in every day. My social goals, I'm just going to find some guys that I can hang out with. It's probably going to be my brothers and a few of my other friends, and just invite them to go do something. That kind of thing. But the spiritual stuff is just planning. So, plan when I can go to the temple. And then one other thing I put in there was just to find somebody. I'm looking for kind of a mentor that can help me with that a little bit. But then the intellectual stuff, I just got more specific on my sources. So I got all my goals in. I should probably post these somewhere so people can actually see what I'm talking about here, because I just have them in a document in front of me. But that's kind of the thing. And so at this point, my main goals for next year, because there's a lot here. And so I had to kind of say, okay, well, if I had to focus on just one of these major things for the year, what is it going to be? And I decided that it's my health. It just has to be. And then I've decided that the other focus, because I have plenty of time to spend on my business, this beyond the fitness stuff, is to get that mailing list up.
Yep.
Those are the two. And I feel like if I have those two things going for me, I'll have the energy to get the other stuff done and spend the time with my family. And I will be able to sell more products and sell more conference tickets and reach more people and help them make their careers better and all that stuff. So anyway, that's kind of a breakdown of my goals. We talked a lot about this on the Freelancer show, as well as, how I intend to be deliberate about getting this stuff done and reaching them. But yeah, so if you have any other thoughts on any of that stuff, especially on the email growth stuff, I'd really love to hear it.
How much time did you put in devoted to this? Curious.
To my goals?
Yeah.
I spent 2 or 3 hours really thinking about it. I would like to do a retreat. I keep hearing Rob talk about that. I'd like to do that and then just really sit down and say, okay, is this really what I want?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I do feel like there's something missing here, but I can't pin it down myself. I don't know. So I think if I had some time where I was just not doing anything else, I might be able to narrow that down.
Yeah. Yeah, because this is like, I don't know. I really need to do something like this. I've done similar things in the past, and I could literally spend a week on this. I mean, I just get into this mode, and I feel like it's kind of the same deal with that I struggled with GTD, is like the well does not dry up.
Right.
Like the more buckets you pull out of the well, the more the water rushes back in to fill it.
Yep.
And I never feel like I ever am really getting to the bottom of things.
Right.
But yeah, I really need to make some time to do something like this.
Yep. Yeah, I actually, because it bothered me so much that I felt like there was something missing, I actually picked up Michael Hyatt's course, Best Year Ever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a workbook and everything else, and it's a video series. And so I'm going to work through that and see if that kind of clues me in on what I've missed here.
Yeah, no, that all sounds pretty good. My problem right now is like, I'm still, my wife and I have been talking about this, and like, she likes to kind of know in advance, like, well, what do you think your income might be for this year?
Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, I literally have no idea. Like, this is all so new to me, that I honestly have no, like, it's really, I could see my income. I think
Can I stop you for a minute? I need to run out of here for a second. I'll be back in a minute.
All right.
Sorry.
Sure.
I hate doing that, but I kind of need to.
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. That'll be a good 2-3 minute awkward silence there.
Yeah, I'm sure that. Oh, what's his name? Now I just blanked because I was trying to think of it. Anyway, I'm sure it'll get edited out. So
hopefully. Yeah. So what was I saying? Oh yeah. So I was just saying. This is all still pretty new to me, and I could really see my kind of gross income being anywhere between 150 and 250. Like there's this huge range, and it really just depends on what I'm actually really able to get done in the year and how things go with Simple Programmer. Just John's goals, the way John's talking, I'll be, if we meet John's goals, I'll be a fully vested partner before the end of the year, and then
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean that would be, that's one scenario, and then another scenario is that we do okay, we don't quite hit that, and I can only do what I can do to make that happen. It's kind of out of my control. And then I've got ideas for products and stuff, and it's just a matter of how much of it I'm actually able to get done in the year. So yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just, it's really tough at this point to even set an income goal for myself, because I don't even have a full year of doing this under my belt. And what I'm going to be doing this year is totally different than what I did last year. I mean, last year I was, mainly doing freelancing, and this year I'm going to be doing a lot of coaching, and then I've got steady gig with John. So,
what I would do, because, my income's been up and down over the last 5 years. And so my wife doesn't ask what we're going to make next year, because it's just impossible to know.
Yeah.
But I mean, to some degree, and it's a little more stable now that I have sponsorship income and conference income coming in on a regular basis, because before that it was feast or famine with the contracting, and if I didn't market for a few months, then I was up a creek and I had to scramble to find something. But what I would do is I would just look at where you think your money's going to come from next year, and then say, well, what if we have kind of a tough year and we don't have maybe some of these, or some of these are a little bit low, and then just say, well, it'll at least be this much. And then you can kind of plan ahead on that much, and then anything that comes in after that is a bonus.
Yeah, so like a conservative, like a high and low range.
Yeah, and if your conservative estimate covers your expenses, then you're fine. Otherwise, and even if it doesn't, or even if it does, you may still want to look at it and say, okay, now how can I stack this deck? Right.
Yeah. Well, basically the way things are, my monthly what is the word I'm looking for? Retainer. Yes, there we go. My monthly retainer with John is going to be enough to where I'm not super worried. It's not enough to cover all of our bills, but it covers the bulk of it, and I'm not worried about that. But then we're going to do at least, John and I are going to do at least 1 or 2 product launches. One of which will probably be like a high-end product. Right. And, so, I mean, the income from that could be, I get 20%. The way we worked it out is I get 20% of the product launch income. So, because we're not going to count that towards, my vesting is based on like month to month. Income. Yeah, like the residual income.
Right.
Not the spikes. But so if we do it, I think we could easily do a 6-figure product launch next year. Easily. So, it's just, I don't know, it's just tough to, I mean, and then I've got some ideas for my Sublime list too. I just have to actually be able to get them done.
Yep. Yeah. What I would do is I would just say, look, we get this retainer from John every month, because you're going to get that unless this deal falls apart, which I kind of doubt.
No.
Because it seems like John's as excited to have you on board as you are to be on board.
Yeah.
And so unless your expectations of each other are grossly out of line, which I kind of doubt, because you know each other fairly well, just count on that, and then just kind of build off of that.
Yeah.
And that way, at least, because I mean, if my wife were asking that, what she'd want to know is, are we gonna be able to do everything we want to do?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we've got some bigger goals that we like. We want to. Our house is fairly small right now. I really would like. I don't really want much in the way of material stuff right now, except for a bigger house, which is like, and around here the price tag will be pretty. To get what we want, the price tag's gonna be pretty high on that.
Right.
So there's that, and then we also are planning to probably send our kids to private school. So that, I have that looming. It will ramp up slowly. There's the 1, 2, 3 punch as each kid enters. So I've got that looming, and then
you can still plan for that stuff. And you can put numbers on it and then say, well, then we need X amount of money in the bank for a down payment, or we need to be making X amount of money to pay for private school in 2 years or 3 years or 1 year or however long.
Yep.
And so you can look at it and then you can say, that means that I either need to get to where I'm vested this way with Simple Programmer, or I need to have these other things going on. And I think you can really figure it out. The other thing is that because you're more product focused than hourly work or paid work focused, I mean, I guess the coaching's a little bit that way. You don't have to worry as much about the feast or famine cycles, because you've got enough solid products out there with Simple Programmer, and it sounds like you've got a few more that I would definitely buy in the pipeline. I think you can stack the deck so that it's just like, okay, well, we're either going to hit this target or we're going to do this other thing to hit the target a month later. But yeah.
Yes, I definitely need to carve out some time to do that.
Yeah, I mean, just think it through. The thing is that I look at a lot of this stuff and it's like, well, what's the worst case scenario? And just seeing where things are at with the podcast and the sponsorships and the conferences, worst case scenario is that not a lot's going to change here, right?
Right.
And the best case scenario is that they take off beyond what I can even imagine. And if that happens, then it's like, okay, well, then we're just going to go down the list of the other things that are here that impacts and, make them happen.
Yep. Cool.
But I totally hear you there. I totally hear you, because some of that stuff, we were in that place, with my last full-time job. Was our house is getting too small. I mean, we were in a 1,300 square foot house.
Ours is 11.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we had our third kid, and it was like, okay, well, if we want more kids, we're going to need more room.
Yeah.
And, I had a few other things going on that, took up time. I mean, I had to set up and tear down every time I did a podcast or screencast on the kitchen table.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were definitely there, and yeah, it was okay. I got a better paying job, and then we could move. And this is kind of the same thing, except you have a little bit more control on the knobs, and you have a lot more options.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one of the problems with our house now is that I'm in the basement, which is nice for me, but that basically means that we have a split entry house, the basement is gone as far as my wife is concerned. So she's got the kids, 3 kids upstairs all day. Not a lot of room to run. They have some room to run around, but not nearly enough.
Yeah, when my kids were out of school during the summer, it was the same deal, because I'm upstairs and my wife didn't want them yelling and screaming in the next room while I was recording podcasts. And so, and they have their toys up here in their bedrooms. And so she'd have to entertain them downstairs, Tuesday and Wednesday. So Thursday every week was like a holiday. We can go upstairs.
Nice. Yeah, we have the Christmas tree down here right now because the 8-month-old would be all over that.
Yep. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So, did you for your goals, like, did you have any? Was there any kind of? So you mentioned you got Michael Hyatt's course. Did you do anything else, or did you have any other resources that you used to do that, or did you just kind of sit down and do it?
So I've listened to a few people for several years. Dan Miller, 48days.com.
Yeah.
Michael Hyatt, michaelhyatt.com. I think Pat Flynn's talked about goals a couple of times. John Lee Dumas has interviewed people who have talked about goals. I also listened to the Eventual Millionaire by Jamie Tardy, and she's had some people talk about goals. And so I kind of formulated a lot of this off of the various things that they have said, and I kind of made it up from there.
Okay.
But there wasn't a whole lot to make up. I really do want to see what this best year ever gets me to, but because there's a system there, right? And he asks some probing questions, and so I'm really looking at that and thinking, okay, how does this change things? So I'll probably have a better answer for that next week or the week after as I work through the course. But for right now, I really wanted to get a picture of what the year was supposed to look like. And then from there, I could say, okay, so they're asking me these questions, and that means, okay, I need to consider this and this. And, oh, I got it. Okay, I got to do this too.
Yeah.
Or I got to drop this out or whatever it is. But, yeah, it was just kind of formulated off of all of those different things. And I could probably find resources for all those off of those different websites. But I know that Dan Miller has a goal-setting product. But Michael's, the more he talked about it, the more it sounded more like what I needed. I'm also seriously considering hiring a coach next year. I just need to figure out what area or what. I'm thinking about actually hiring Aaron Walker, who puts together the other mastermind that I'm in that I talk to on Wednesdays.
Okay.
And I'm actually really thinking about hiring him for like 6 months. And seeing where we get to, because he's got a ton of business and life, and he's Christian, so I have that in common with him, and he gives great advice spiritually, and just kind of figure that out for 6 months, and then go hire somebody else, and kind of see, where each person can help me level up further,
right?
So hire Jamie Tardy maybe the second half of next year. And then maybe
I've heard
there's a
from
specific
people that have done similar things that 90 days is a sweet spot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I could.
Yeah, you kind of get it's kind of the 80-20. You get most of the benefit in that first 90 days, and then people. My coach actually said the same thing. She said for most people, she pretty much, when you get a coaching student, she pretty much counts on them for like 90 days, and then beyond that, most of them will drop off.
Yeah, I just feel like each of these people have different areas of focus that they do really well in. And the thing that I'm looking to get from Aaron is both balance as well as business. And his businesses were not online businesses. The business he's running now is his first online business. Okay. But he's done business for 30 years. He really gets kind of how business works. Right. And, he's really good coach in the sense that, like, even in the mastermind groups, I'll say, well, I want to lose weight. And he nails you to the wall. How much? What are you going to do? You got to be checking in with us every day and letting us know what you ate and what you did, and, and that kind of thing. And so it's an accountability thing as well as just, helping you evaluate, this is a good plan. This is not a good plan. This isn't specific enough. These things that you put in here are really great, and these other things you really need to think a little harder on so that you know exactly what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. And and so that's kind of where I want to get with him is, get that together, get some good habits, and get some really solid perspective on what I'm doing. And then maybe, like I said, Jamie Tardy, or maybe I'll hire you as a coach for copywriting if that's where I decide I need to go next, or so, whatever. But really just decide, okay, what's the next stage and who do I need to help me get through it? Because I really also feel like if I hire the right coach, it's a force multiplier on what I'm doing.
Yes, I agree. Yep.
And so even though I'm spending a good chunk of money on them, if I'm looking to raise my monthly income from, say, $6,000 or $7,000 to $14,000 or $15,000, paying them a couple $1,000s in a month to help me out and coach me. If they can get me there, I still net $5,000 or $6,000 off of the work that we're doing together. So it's well worth it, and I get the growth that I want.
Yep.
So
totally. Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, just the accountability side of it was huge. To me, the two biggest things were the accountability and just sorting through all the different priorities.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because usually, for me, I have 50 different things in my head that I feel like I have to be doing. And I probably even have some sense for what are the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
But getting beyond that and then actually the accountability to actually do it was really helpful for me.
Yeah. I had a business coach when I was looking to go out on my own in 2010. Mm-hmm. It was right before I got laid off and actually did go out on my own. But I had 2 problems there. One was that the only business that he had really run was his coaching business.
Oh yeah, that's bad.
And I mean, he could definitely help me with some of the business organization things and provide accountability.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, he wasn't very good at, and I didn't know that I needed it from him at the time either. I mean, this was totally my fault. But he wasn't very good at helping me actually identify where I needed to go out and what I needed to go do in order to figure out how to go out on my own. I mean, if I had been going into coaching, he would have been perfect. But I was looking at building a SaaS product or doing freelance or something like that. Mm-hmm. And he just wasn't as helpful with that kind of thing. And now that I've been doing this for 5.5 years out on my own, I really understand what I want. And I know, I've gotten to know Aaron well enough to know that he will give me what I want. Mm-hmm. Because he's capable and he understands the things that I need to pick up from him. And then, I've listened to Jamie and, I feel like I have a feel for some of the things that she can help me with. And I feel like that's a good next stage. But in 90 days, I may feel differently. Oh, I don't need her kind of thing just yet.
Right.
So anyway, but yeah. So yeah, he wasn't the right person for where I was at, but I didn't know what I needed or what I wanted. Mm-hmm. And so I would complain to him about my job. I would talk to him about some of the things that I was kind of doing, and then he would encourage me to do better. And it just, we got to be good friends. Actually, we stopped at his house on the way out to Denver one time, but
Yeah, I mean, there's some value in just the encouragement side of things. But yeah, I know what you mean. That's super common in marketing where the only thing the person has ever marketed is marketing, like internet marketing especially. You get a lot of copywriters who've only ever sold copywriting products or, internet marketing stuff. And
yeah, but I mean, if I wanted to be a copywriter, then I would go find a successful copywriter and hire them to teach me how to do it. Mm-hmm. And that's what you did. And so I'm looking at, okay, I want to be successful in my business, so I'm going to go hire a successful business person who has the type of balance and perspective that I feel like I need, and I'm going to pay him to teach me how to do it. So,
totally great investment.
Yep. So yeah, so that's pretty much that. But yeah, the next week, my focus is really on getting the stuff together for the email course and spending a little bit more time with my family. And I really made that more of a priority next year because that's the other thing that I keep doing is I keep working late and putting off family stuff and things like that to try and make it to the next stage. And I've realized that I can do that indefinitely. Right. And so I need to make sure that I'm spending the time with my family as well. And so, my Saturdays are just going to be family days. It's not going to be Chuck laying on the couch recuperating days. It's going to be, at least part of the day is going to be, spending one-on-one time with my kids, making sure that I get my wife out of the house and stuff like that. And then the evenings, I'm really going to try and get those back and not work late unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah.
And it's going to be if I don't get this done, then we're up a creek. Otherwise, I'll put it off.
Right. Yeah, I've done since I quit my job, I've actually done pretty well at not working, at least technically, in the evenings. My problem is more that I just have a very hard time I don't know if it's I guess unplugging is part of it. But I also have a hard time. My kids are so young, and I just have a very hard time like spending quality time with them, because I feel like I pretty much come upstairs, sit on the couch, and they run around screaming and hitting each other. Like a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old likes to do.
Hey, I have a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 4-year-old, and they all do that too.
Yeah, and so I have a hard time engaging with them, I guess that's my biggest problem, like family, because I quit at 5:30 pretty much every day, and might go a few minutes over, but I'm pretty good about that, not like working in the evenings and stuff. But and Saturday and Sunday I basically don't work. I spent a couple hours on Saturday morning doing like a weekly review to sort of clear the decks, and other than that I don't work. But
I do those on Friday afternoons. But
yeah, I feel like I really feel like I do not do a good job of actually like tuning in and being present and giving them the kind of attention that they deserve, and it's pretty frustrating. But
it's different. Like with my 10-year-old, like I can sit down and we can read a book together, or we can play a game on the computer together, or something like that, and it's at least reasonably interesting. With my 4-year-old, I mean, if it's one-on-one, all he wants is for me to tickle him and chase him around.
Yeah, that's pretty much where they are. Either that, or like they've lately gotten into the crazy, like, we're just gonna say weird things that we think are funny stage. Yep. Like both of them will just start peppering me with the latest thing that they'll say is, "Daddy, are you China?" And like I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, that's meaningless. It's a meaningless statement. And like they'll just say this over and over and over and over and over again. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like how do I
You respond,
how do I engage with this?
And I'm gonna put you in soup. And then you eat them and tickle them and stuff.
Yeah.
See, if I was say something equally nonsensical back.
If I was good with kids, I guess that's what I would do.
I don't know. I mean, sometimes the kids are doing that stuff, and I am so tired and so burned out that I'm just like, yeah, whatever.
Yep. Yeah, that's usually me.
But yeah. But it's just, it really is. I mean, I heard somebody say that love for kids is spelled Time, and that's really what matters, right? Is that, I mean, and you don't have to like full on engage for 3 hours every night.
Right.
But if you get a little bit of time and give them a little bit of individual attention, make them feel like you care. Even if you're just sitting there and building block towers or chasing them around, it makes a huge difference just because they know that they matter. Yeah. And so if they're saying nonsensical things, then play along. If they're doing something else, go along with it. If there's a particular thing that maybe you want to try doing with them, try it. A lot of times I'll take the kids out to somewhere. So I'll take them out to McDonald's. Oh, my 4-year-old loves that. We're going to McDonald's, right? And he's bringing home this 2-bit toy, and he's like, I got this toy at McDonald's. And, I mean, it's just, it's crazy how simple it is. I mean, just running around and tickling him, it's a big deal. And, I don't know. For the most part, yeah. I mean, that's why I'm saying, 30 minutes one-on-one with each child every week. Because, the rest of the time that I'm with them, then it can be group time, or, if I'm tired, then I can just sit there and cuddle with them or whatever. But, I don't know. For me, it's just, it seems like the one-on-one time is really something that makes a difference for my kids.
Yeah, that's a good, I like that. Like having a goal of just once a week.
Yep. Having
a block of time like that.
Yeah, I heard somebody say that they did that with their kids, and what they do is they actually let them pick what they're going to do.
Yeah, when they're apart, it's a lot easier for me to relate to them. Like when they're together, they just like, it's like this, whirlwind of activity. Yeah. And I'm very, I think this is true of a lot of guys. Like we tend to be more, like my wife can very easily carry on a conversation with me while all three of the kids are screaming and doing different things, and my brain is just like, explode, sensory overload. I just can't do it. So
yeah, my upbringing may be a little different there, because I mean,
I was one of 4, so it's not like I was an only child or anything.
Yeah, I was one of 10, and I'm the oldest. So
yeah, I'm the oldest as well.
I was 16 and a half when my youngest sister was born. And so I've always been used to little kids being around.
Yeah, my youngest brother, I was 12 when my youngest brother was born. So you'd think that would have helped, but yeah.
It really depends. I mean, it depends on your personality. It depends on if he was the kind of kid that was running around making a ton of noise, and I don't know.
Yeah. My personality is more like, I tend to, like, my first response in most situations is to take things seriously, which is not, like, for a lot of people, their first response might be to joke around.
Right.
And for me, that's where, like, with, like, my kids saying ridiculous things, my first response is, like, to try to come up with something sensible to say back.
Right.
And so it's just like this constant, it's like I'm stripping gears and trying to engage with them.
Well, say something serious back to them that they totally won't get, and then watch them kind of go, huh? I do that to my kids all the time.
I'll become
what does that mean? Or they'll start yelling at me, and I start yelling back in Italian.
I love that.
But yeah, I mean, some of the time, depending on, because some days I don't feel good. But most days I've got enough energy, and so my wife will start, "Kid, shut up," and then it's, "Chuck, leave them alone so they'll shut up." So, I mean, I don't know, just, and it doesn't have to, you don't have to do anything outside of your personality. I mean, if you want to do serious things with them, like read them a story or things like that. I mean, kids really eat that up too. And it's attention that matters. And really, just making it a priority and finding the time. And I hate the term finding the time. Clearing the time to spend with them. Making it. No, they don't make time any faster than they ever have.
Well, there you go. Okay.
But yeah. And you don't find time on the sidewalk, but you can be deliberate and make sure that you have the time. So, but I mean, the family stuff is a big deal this year. It's just my health and, that email stuff for the financial and business goals. And then, I am fully committed to doing the family stuff, making sure that my wife gets time with me and my kids get time with me. And that's not just time in front of the TV.
Right. Yep. I got nothing else.
There was one other thing that I kind of wanted to talk through on the business side. Okay. And that is the conferences. So JS Remote Conf, the early bird ended. And I wound up with a few emails from people before and around when it ended, basically saying, "Hey, I wanted to buy a ticket, but I couldn't see enough of the speakers to feel good about it." And what I've been doing in the past is I have the CFP open until the same day that the early bird closes, which is about a month before the conference. And so I'm considering moving one or both of those dates up a month or so. Probably just the CFP, just so that I can get enough people in so I can have a schedule posted before people are really serious about buying tickets, because I think I'd sell more that way.
Right.
But I've kind of treated CFP as you took a chance on the conference without knowing who the speakers were. I don't know.
So can you clarify? So CFP is
call for proposals.
I got that. But I'm confused by what you just said. So you're treating the early bird as you taking a chance on the
conference. So you buy the conference ticket before the speakers and talks have been announced.
You said you were treating CFP. That was what got me confused.
Okay. No, the early bird.
Yeah.
But the flip side is it's nice to have two marketing and purchasing targets.
Yeah.
Because I tend to make like on Angular Remote Conf, I made half of the money on ticket sales, which means I sold twice as many tickets early bird as I did for the regular price. And I was able to run up to early bird and then run up again to the regular price, the conference date.
So you're only doing you have 2 breakpoints, right?
Yeah.
So 2 deadlines.
Yep.
Well,
and I could I could technically move the CFP. So what I'm thinking about is I could technically move the CFP up another month.
Yeah.
And then I could do a run up to the CFP. If you want to speak, apply.
Yeah.
And then I could do another run up. So I'm raising awareness again.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, what you're running into here is the classic problem that comes with a lot of info products. This is a really big problem for newsletter people that sell newsletters. Is like, well, you're selling something that doesn't exist yet.
Right.
So you can't really promise. You can't make promises necessarily about what's coming because it's not finalized yet.
Right.
With newsletters, that's unavoidable. With this, it seems like you've got, I think moving the CFP up earlier is, it's just going to make your job marketing it easier. Yeah. And
it also spreads the work out some because
that's true.
It gives me a little bit more lead time before I have to get the schedule up.
Yep. The other thing, the other thing to consider though is whether you shoot yourself in the foot too much by selling too many half-price tickets.
Yeah, I'm thinking about actually raising that price.
Yeah, if you were to raise that, have a 20% discount or a 30% discount or something instead of 50. Is it 50? Is that?
It's 50 right now, yeah.
Yeah. That seems like that's pretty standard for early bird.
Yeah, I looked at some of the other ones. It looks like early bird ranges anywhere from 25 to 50%.
Okay.
It seems like most of the conferences I actually looked at how much of a discount it really was. And most of them were around 30, 35, maybe 40.
I think that the main benefit comes from having a discount and less the dollar amount.
Yeah.
So it just having the deadline and the discount there.
Yeah.
And then I think the more details you have about the conference, the easier your job selling it becomes. So yeah, the more you can lock that down ahead of time, even if it's not all of it, like if you had most of the speakers lined up, you'd have a pretty good idea.
Yeah. And like I had 2 or 3 speakers confirmed before early bird. Actually, I think I had 4. But yeah, it wasn't enough. And there was a little bit of confusion because I actually had 2 websites up for it. Because I had it on all remote confs, and then I also had JS Remote Conf, and I hadn't quite gotten it merged.
Okay.
It's merged now. If you go to JS Remote Conf, it'll forward you straight to allremoteconfs.com/ whatever the slug is for the JavaScript conference. So
cool. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. I would do that if you possibly can.
Should I move them out more than a month? So 2 months before the CFP, so then I could move it out to 3 months before the conference, have the CFP open or close, and then early bird out like a month and a half. I don't know. I'm kind of playing with the timeline. I guess I could just experiment with it and figure it out.
Yeah, I think experimenting with it sounds good. I'm trying to think about the timing of whether, like you mentioned, if you get a lot of benefit from being able to talk about the upcoming conference, like if you space it out too much, you're going to lose some of the impact.
I'll lose some momentum. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because people will stop hearing about it for a week or so.
Right. Yeah, I think the sooner, I don't really see a huge, it seems like the sooner you get things lined up, the easier it gets. So gives you more cushion time too. So.
Yep. And then I've also, I read through somebody else's marketing plan for conferences, and they had basically like job titles for each of their speakers. So it was author of this and CEO of that, and it seems like that adds some credibility points to the conference and probably makes it easier sell too. So I'm working on getting that in.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, just collecting standard, standard info from all the speakers.
Yep. Yeah, I collect a bio and an abstract and notes on the talk and all that stuff.
Yeah, but if you actually have time to go back to them and say this isn't enough.
Yeah.
That's a common problem I have with my copywriting projects is like I'll get testimonials and they just suck. They're like, right. This person's wonderful. I like this person. And it's like, that doesn't help you at all.
Right. Yeah.
So if you build in time to where you can go back and polish it a little bit, that's good.
Yeah, and I'm hoping to do that before the beginning of the year, and then I can push for a couple of weeks and really sell the crap out of JS Remote Conf. But the one thing that is interesting is that all of the people who have attended the other conferences, when I tell them about JS Remote Conf, they have no problem signing up because they had good experiences with the previous conference.
That's cool.
So I may need to get some testimonials from them too. That would be great, and maybe from some of the speakers.
Yes.
And that should make it easier to sell on the speakers. I have found though that some people don't necessarily like the remote format because they don't have the in-person feedback that they're used to when they speak in front of an audience. But others were like, this is really nice. I didn't have to travel. I didn't have to do it. I just showed up, gave my talk, and then I had a whole bunch of interaction at the end with the Q&A. And that's great for them. So
cool. Yeah. Do you have do you help moderate every
I moderate the conferences.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I say, this is sponsored by these guys. And and then I introduce the speaker and introduce the talk, and then I basically step out until the Q&A.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of that, I have not heard from Mandy about the freelancing one.
Okay. I'll follow up with her.
So yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't out of the loop.
Nope.
Because I don't know. Aside from like saying I'm interested, I don't really know what any of the requirements are or what the process is. Or
yeah, I'd like to give a document out to each of the speakers and say, this is what to expect.
Yeah, that would be great. And then for us to just walk through the whole thing. I'm assuming it's an hour.
Yes.
But I don't know that for sure.
Yeah, I need to just write up, here's everything you need to know to speak at this conference.
Yes.
And I can use that for all of the different conferences.
Yeah, and like a schedule too. So I know when I need to get stuff done by.
Yep. Yeah, the other thing is then I can also push and say, the audience members seem to really like having the speaker's slides and notes.
Right.
They seem to really like having, being able to interact with the speaker in these ways. So please put, social media up or something. And
exactly. Yep.
You're not going to be able to see your audience, but don't worry if something's wrong, then I'll chime in and stop you. In that way, just remove a lot of the barriers that we run into. Because having done this a few times, I think I've run into most of the problems that will occur. So.
Yeah, actually, that would be great too. The in case of fire break glass list of things that typically go wrong.
If you see me drop off, don't stop talking. We had that happen with Brad Green, who's the project manager for the Angular project on Angular Remote Conf. So he'd be answering a question on Google Hangouts, and then it would kick me off Google Hangouts, and he'd stop talking until I came back. And I'd get back on, and I'd be saying, Brad, when I disappear, it's still going, but by the time I got that out, I'd be kicked off again. So I'm like, man, I wish I could have told him that beforehand. But anyway.
Nice.
But yeah. All right. Well, cool. That's kind of the feedback I needed, because I like having that build up, so I can build to the call for proposals and then build to the early bird. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and you can make a big stink about it too. Yeah. I mean, that's like the I would treat the proposal thing like a mini launch, and the same thing with the early bird, and you got 4 or 5 emails that lead up to each deadline. Yeah. Well, the other thing is that I reach out. So like JS Remote Conf, I reached out to all of the past guests on JavaScript Jabber and Adventures in Angular. And I said, do you want to speak? And so, yeah, I need to come up with a series of emails to send out.
Yep.
You know, oh, it's coming up. Okay, I just wanted to remind you, it's tomorrow. All right, last day.
Yep.
And yeah, I'd probably get more proposals from the people that I'm familiar with. So that's a good idea too. I'll have to put that in my list.
Cool.
All right.
I don't even know if I have any thoughts other than when you're growing, you feel like a fraud.
Well, it's rough, right? Because you're seeing that you have all this headway to make, but and it's also easy to discount a lot of the effort you put in.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yep.
So you look at it and you're like, yeah, but I made it through it, so anybody can make it through it. And instead of recognizing, you know what, I had to suffer through some of this stuff, and I could probably shortcut that for somebody else, and it's worth money to pay for it.
Yep.
So you don't have to be the guy. You can be a guy that's 4 or 5 steps ahead.
Yeah, for me, it's more like it's more performance anxiety than it is like I don't feel like it's just, I don't know. It's like when I think about doing a coaching call, I'm like, my mind just wants to go blank, you know? And I'm like, what am I even going to say to this person? And it's the same deal with a new copywriting project. It's like, where do I even start? And so that's kind of like, it's kind of like the constant like feeling like, okay, now I have to be in the spotlight again, you know?
Yeah. I don't know if I have great advice for that. I mean, for the most part, I get that a little bit when I speak in front of people. I get it a whole lot less on the podcast because it's just a bunch of people talking.
Yeah.
I get it a whole lot less when I'm on, because I've spoken at some of these remote conferences. Mainly, I'm like the last backup speaker. I've got like 3 talks in my pocket that I want to try out. So it's like, well, they're not here, so I'm going to be here.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's, for me, when I get that, it's like, look, these people walked in to hear me. And if me isn't what they, you know, what they figure out they don't want when they're in here, then if they leave, then.
Yeah.
But I don't know that goes away without a ton of practice.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to go away either. I think it'll get better.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you get success, and then it's like, you know what? I've done this hundreds of times, and it's never gone wrong, or it's only gone wrong once. So, I'm not going to worry so much about it. And you can kind of get that confidence. But yeah, when you're first doing it, I totally get it.
Yep.
So my thoughts are really just, down to this goal setting. Figure out what you want out of life. Figure out what it's going to take to get there. And then from there, just figure out what it's going to take within the next few months to get you well along that path. I find that trying to be specific about anything further out than that, say a year or 5 years, is really hard.
Yeah.
But, if I can set a 90-day target, I'm going to have reached all this, reached these spaces, then it becomes a whole lot easier. Because then I can sit down every week and say, all right, in order to hit that 90-day target, that means next week has to look like this, and the week afterward has to look something like this. And so then I have some ideas to move ahead with that. And then I actually schedule the time in my calendar. In order to get there, I'm going to do this here and this here and this here and this here, and then I just move it up and down along where it has to go. And we talked a lot about that last week.
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess we're done.
Yep.
So
alrighty.
We'll talk to everybody New Year's Eve. I guess it'll come out in the new year.
Yep. Merry Christmas.
Yep.
All right.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Whatever your thing is. Have a good one.
Sayonara.
Yep. All right. Big red button.